This is one of our all-time favorite dishes, pollo guisado. In other words, it's stewed chicken, or similar to the Italian chicken fricasse. The first thing you want to do is season well your chicken, and it's always best to season it either a few hours or up to overnight before you need it. My go-to seasonings are always salt and pepper, garlic, oregano, onion powder. And I also like to add adobo, but here I didn't have it, so I make do. But you want to season it well in a big bowl and then cover it up. My trick with oregano is you want to crush it in your hands to release all of the flavors. And then seal it up, put it in the fridge, like I said, a couple hours or up to 24 hours. Smell. You're gonna want to saute this for just a couple of minutes. I wish you could smell this. It is incredible. When you make this sofrito, I have it over there. When you make the sofrito and you put it in the olive oil, oh, it's so amazing. You can also use sofrito to marinate your meat, and I love doing that, and sometimes I'll do that and then freeze it as soon as I get it from the store. That is a great tip, because then as it's defrosting, it's marinating and it's getting in all those lovely flavors, and it's so awesome. I've never made beans in this particular pressure cooker. I have been using pressure cookers for years, ever since the electric pressure cooker came out. My mother and my grandmother used the old-fashioned stove pressure cooker, so I've been around them my whole life. And I know that it infuses all of the flavors in the food, and the food just comes out better tasting. So you want to get the flavors in there. You don't want to wait till later. You want to get in there now. Now you can always make adjustments. You can always make adjustments later. All right, so this is looking good. So I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 chicken bouillon. I like Nor, that's what I use. It comes in a yellow and green box, and I just put them in there. And then I'm gonna take some tomato paste. I'm making a red bean today. Typically we have a lot of black beans, but I'm gonna take a spoonful like that, a nice healthy, maybe even a little bit more, because I'm actually eating my hair. I'm actually going to be making a full pound of beans. And then I'm gonna take a 4 ounce, this is 4 ounce, 8 ounce can of tomato sauce. The tomato paste gives it a great depth of flavor. Look at Rummy in the background. You can see the little head just laying there. Whenever I'm in the kitchen, the dogs are usually at my feet, so I'm surprised he's over there. All right, so I'm gonna stir this up. I'm gonna let you see it. All right, so I'm stirring this up. I wanna break down the tomato paste, get those chicken bouillons melted. I like to stab them to hurry up the process. Because let me tell you, if you don't dissolve that chicken bouillon, I've done that in the past when I've been rushing. It is not a good taste when you get a glob of that. It's really salty and really nasty. So you want to make sure that it breaks up. But this is great, and it freezes well. So if you want to just make the whole thing, have half of it now and then half of it later. But we're having family over today, and I'm gonna go ahead and just make the whole thing, and then this way we'll have leftovers. All right, so this is nice and good. And so now I'm gonna go ahead, oregano is a staple, I've told you this before. So I'm gonna put about that much, about a tablespoon or so, and then we're gonna, all right, I got a phone call. So I've had to put salt in there, I put the oregano in there, and so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm gonna hit cancel. We're gonna add 6 cups of water, and then I'm going to add my beans. Now normally I don't soak my beans, but I've never used this pressure cooker, and so I figured I would try it and see. So I just didn't even put that much water. I just used this container and put water in there, just enough to cover them, and put it in the fridge last night. And so I'm gonna see if that helps. And then all it's gonna take is about 20 to 25 minutes to cook in the pressure cooker. So we'll see. Now, let's get ready for our chicken. Here, I heated up my roaster, or you can use a pan, and add your sofrito, olive oil, and tomato paste. Yum. This chicken is going to cook in this amazing sauce. So this is a Dominican recipe, and of course I probably have altered it some. I don't want it to cook all the way. I just want it to get browned up. And so the thighs, as soon as they get brown, I'm going to go ahead and use them. So this is one of my favorite dishes. It's probably my go-to dish to cook for friends and family, or if I have to send food to somebody. This is what I want to make. Everybody loves chicken. It's called Pollo Guisado, but it would be like a stewed chicken. And it is so flavorful and so good. This is a Dominican recipe, and it's just one of my favorites. So I'm gonna pour this garlic and herb tomato sauce. I just bought this at a local store. Normally, I like to use the Hunt can. It's my favorite, and it's reasonably priced. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that and stir it up. And I'm also gonna add water to this as well. And you're gonna say, why would you add water? So tomato paste is a great and inexpensive way to make more sauce. So I'm going to stir that all the way in. And I may, once I get the chicken in, have to add another can. And I probably will. And I always want to add these olives. They are what make it so good, so yummy, and so flavorful. And I like to not eat my hair again. I just take several of these olives and a little bit of the liquid. And since I'm making such a big batch, I'm gonna add a lot of olives. And so now we're gonna use capers, and that is another must-have. It changes the dynamic of the recipe. And again, I'm letting some of that liquid just fall out, and I'm using so much, again, because it's such a big batch. As your chicken browns, go ahead and put it in your sauce. Of course, if you're doing a smaller batch, you just have your chicken to the side and then bring it into your pan. That's why I like to cook it in this roaster, because it's easy and it's quick, and I can change the bit of water to this also, because this is not a spaghetti thick sauce. It's just a nice, you want to cook it in the liquid. And you want it to cook slow in the liquid. If you wanted, you could use wine in here. You know, like Italians make the chicken fricase. Is that how you say it? It's basically the same thing. So, I've got it set to 350. I'm gonna probably put it down to 325 or even 300. I usually like to cook it really slow. I forgot I wanted to add this. This is another great thing to add depth of flavor is chicken base. And I forgot I wanted to add some. This particular flavor, I don't usually use this one. It is roasted garlic base, and so that just says yum. So I'm just gonna put one big heaping spoon in there. Does it look good? Yes, it looks so good. Right. So see, it's nice in the liquid, so I'm gonna go ahead and close it up and just let it cook for about a couple of hours or so. And releasing naturally for 17 minutes now. I'm gonna go ahead and release it. I like to use my spoon and just step back and just let it go, because it has a lot of liquid and sometimes a lot can spew out. And so once it is done, then we can open it up. It just went down, I just heard it. So you can get a good facial, but this is not the kind that you want. So you want to be really careful. So now that it has released, I can open it up. There we go. All right, you heard that sound, and it's ready to go. Now we've got to look at the texture, we've got to look at the sauce. We're gonna have to taste test it, So it smells good. You want to look at them and nice and creamy, and they are. So the texture feels good. And then you want to, of course, taste the liquid. Now, I want there to be liquid because we're gonna serve this over rice. Does that take the whole thing?
Tastes like beans. They need more flavor though.
They need more flavor. I figured that they would. So you always want to taste test it. Added more salt, some garlic powder, oregano, and onion powder. And then just make sure that you mix it all together. I'm gonna saute this up a little bit to get the flavors going, to get the stuff integrated that I just added in there, and also to thicken up the liquid just a little bit. I haven't had red beans in a while. So I'm just gonna let that cook up a little bit, and then we're gonna start on the rice.
So while I was pouring in this lemon, whatever, it literally spilled. Literally. Like literally. It's literally spilled. It was coming out of this thing. That's rude. Like, who does that? Kind of offended.
We're cooking white rice today, and I didn't grow up on jasmine rice, but it's become a favorite. I love the aroma of it and the texture, the taste. I always use long grain white rice, but this jasmine rice is awesome. This is my rice pot. This is my valued, treasured rice pot, and I have been using it. For years. I bought this when I was about 18 years old, and it is a must-have. I take it with me if I'm going somewhere, but this is the rice pot that I use when I'm making a big batch. So for this, I'm doing 8 cups of rice. Of course, when you do rice, it's always 1-to-1 ratio. Don't add any more. Now you could use chicken stock if you wanted. It would give it a little more flavor, but we're just doing plain white rice. And I promise you, it tastes so good when you add oil and salt. And then you add the beans on top of it, and then the juice from the chicken. Hello, so good. All right, I've got my rice, 1-to-1 ratio. I have 8 cups of rice, 8 cups of water. I'm going to use some canola oil, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to use a good bit. I'm going to just swirl it around in there because I want my rice to be nice and soft, have a good sheen to it, and taste wonderful. Use a wooden spoon, and then I'm also going to go ahead and put some salt. So this is how I measure my salt. We did this the other day, and I said this is about what I do for 3 cups of rice. That's about a tablespoon, but when I do 4 cups, I do about that much, and so that's how I measure it, and I double it. All right? The key to making good rice is you're gonna sit here and let it boil. Put it on high after you stir it. Keep a watch on it. You're gonna have to stir it up a little bit. Once all the water has almost evaporated, I shouldn't say all the water, I should say when almost all the water has evaporated, then you lower it. Because I have this gas stove, I have a problem where I have to put it to the back and lower it, and then that's when you cover it up and you just leave it alone and let it cook. So this did the trick, sauteing it. Like I said, I've never cooked beans in this particular pot, but the flavor has been enhanced. There's a lot thicker, and so I'm gonna go ahead and cancel this. And I'm gonna let this stew a little bit. You know, I think that will add good flavor and also to keep it nice and hot. So I'm just gonna close this up and just let it sit there. So you wanna check on your chicken. You wanna see how it's going. Ari, what do you think?
It looks fantastic.
So you wanna make sure that the chicken is nice in the liquid. It smells good? I'll save you some, don't worry. She's going to her friend's house, so she's gonna miss out on the family dinner, but that's okay. I always take care of my Ari, and she loves chicken. It's her favorite.
Never mind, I'm going to have some tomorrow because we don't want to butcher the chicken. Even though it's already been butchered and dead, we don't want to make it more dead than it already is. Right? We don't want dead chicken. Dead chicken is like eating dead bird. Wait,
Bye. These are plantains. They are not bananas. They're not bananas. They're plantains. And they're green when you get them at the store sometimes, and sometimes they look like this. So when they're green, you cook them differently, you eat them differently. When they're like this, they actually do taste more like a banana, but not quite a banana. But they're in the banana family. It's like a cousin. So these are ripe and they're soft and they're sweet. And so it's so awesome to have these plátanos with the savory meat and the beans. It's like dessert in itself, but oh so yummy. So I'm gonna be frying these up later as we get closer because you don't want to have these cold. I don't like cold food, but I definitely don't like these cold. And so we're gonna be frying these up when they get here, and I can't wait. She likes to... I'm gonna put that in there.
a couple years ago when I was in a private school, Mom would always cook Spanish food or salsa or jalapeno popper pepper dip, and people would always be like, or asking for it, like, did your mom make this, or can your mom make salsa? And so my mom can cook, and I'm just so excited that I get to learn. Yep. And I want to just make ramen noodles. Yeah.
Twinsies!
My favorite dish that Mom makes is,
I know what it used to be.
yeah, it used to be rice, beans, and ground beef, but I don't eat beef anymore.
Why?
Because the beef that we have in this house is my cow named T-Bone,
Which we bought on purpose.
and so I don't eat it because
But picadillo is ground beef seasoned in onions and peppers and tomato sauce and garlic, and it's the best. That's what she would ask for her birthday. That and the chicken that we're making today are my favorite. You're probably wondering what I'm going to make for dessert. Just a few ingredients, 3 items. Puff pastry sheets, cream cheese, and guava. I have 2 different ones. The guava is the same. I have a really big pack from Goya. Oh, Goya.
okay, I'm making lemonade. So let's get you close over here. Ooh, sorry, Asia texted me.
But anyway, you can purchase, it's a paste, it's thick, it's really dense, and you cut it up in slices, and it's oh so yummy. The rice is ready. It looks perfect. You just want to fluff it up. You can use a fork, but I'm just using my wooden spoon, and I'm just going deep all the way to the bottom, making sure not to disturb the very crunchy part that's our favorite on the bottom. puff pastry is so easy to use. You'll want to follow the instructions on the box to thaw it. So once it's thawed, I just put it on a floured surface and roll it out so that I can stretch it just a little bit and make it a little bit thinner. And I always like to flip it and roll both sides. It's very, very easy to work with, and it makes such an awesome and easy dessert. You can fill it with anything. So I cut it in thirds and then I cut it in half. So this way I have some nice rectangles to work with. I go ahead and I put some cream cheese. You can stir up your cream cheese to make it a little bit softer to work with, but I was rushing here, and so I just took it straight from the cream cheese package and I cut it, and then I put a piece of guava and then I seal it up. I have a bowl of water handy, and egg wash, so that this way I can put some egg wash over it, and I just make sure that it's sealed very, very well so that the ooey gooey guava does not ooze out. And then I'll later put some sugar on top of it. Coarse sugar is the best, but I didn't have any, so I just used regular table sugar. I put them on a baking dish with parchment paper, and I went ahead and baked them.
Hey guys, this is a wing tour. You see that highlight? You see that? You see that?
For the good stuff, our maduros, or sweet plantains. I heat up a skillet with whatever choice of oil you want to use. I'm using the canola oil. I cut the plátano in half. I discard the ends first, and then I peel it. I cut it in half, and then I cut them in angles, and then I fry them until they're caramelized. And because they're sweet, they're gonna caramelize nice and good for you. And then just flip them and do the other side. And then you can just put them on a plate. You can also have a paper towel there to take some of the oil, but they come out so good. As you can see, we had a great time. My mother-in-law is standing there enjoying the food, and our nephew and his wonderful family. Oops, gotta get our dessert in the oven. Look at how wonderful, golden brown, crispy, with all the sweet goodness of the guava on the inside. They make a perfect, quick, and easy dessert. Again, you can fill them with anything that you want. If you try any of these recipes, be sure to comment below. I hope you subscribe.